Are we?
All right, welcome to our Boost Your Marketing webinar we're doing today. I'm Greg Moody, Dr. Greg Moody, and here with RevMarketing.com. And I'm here with our expert, one of our experts here, and she's quite a qualified expert, is Denise Morin. Denise, you tell us a little bit about yourself. You're one of our experts in marketing and content marketing here.
Hi, yeah, Greg, thank you for having me today. Yeah, I do most of this for Rev Marketing and help our clients better understand how to do it on their own sites as well.
Yeah, and what we want to do is understand a lot of pieces of marketing, but each week we're going to get together, and this week we're going to talk about one specific key to marketing. So let's get started here and talk about our goals. We really want everybody to get at least a 50% increase, or a 100% increase, or a 300% increase, or a 10 times increase in the results over the next 12 months. So we'll talk about how to do that. To do that, we have to understand what all the pieces of marketing are online and how they all fit together. And then we're going to make sure that you know one key thing to do today. So you know one key thing, and you have one big takeaway of what to do next from today's work. Now, to do that, we got to understand the big picture. And fundamentally, a lot of you guys that are listening to this, whether it's on a recording or live here today, are our clients. And if you're our clients, you've already got a great website. We keep updating our websites and giving you new versions of it as we continue to grow and update things for you. But you've got to have a great website. This is your platform and your fundamentals for all your marketing that's going to come next. So we really don't build websites. We build marketing platforms, we like to say, because they're platforms for all the rest of the marketing that you're going to do. And if you think about your website as the foundation, and you've got online marketing and offline marketing, like grassroots marketing, and if you were handing out flyers or just knocking on doors or doing outreach marketing, it's really important to understand that even for example, online marketing, if you were doing AdWords or Facebook, we'll talk about some of these, but we're going to talk about a lot of other things. Even these kind of marketing tools, if you do these tools, Facebook, for example, 42% of Facebook marketing, they're going to abandon the Facebook marketing and try to get to your website and search for your website. And in offline marketing, it's even worse. 80% of people that you give a flyer to are going to, this is approximate, are going to abandon that and look you up on your website. So if you don't have a great website, all the other marketing that you're trying to do isn't going to work. Or it'll work a little bit, and you might spend a lot of money and feel like you're getting great results. But if your website isn't great, a lot of this isn't going to work. So if you're one of our clients, we're helping you with this. And this is going to be real fundamental to what we talk about today, because what we talk about today is about kind of growing and building onto what your website is. So what are some other things that we need to do? And Denise, you can add on to some of this about the website, but let me run through some of these as well. There's all kinds of other things that happen in online marketing and marketing in general that you can do, including search engine marketing. This is getting other connections from external. A lot of people don't talk about this. They think they blend this in with search engine optimization. Search engine marketing, meaning you're connecting from external and internal links out and around your website. So this has to do with linking. Search engine optimization, which people, I think, misconstrue a lot. It's making sure your website has a lot of relevant content on it. We'll talk about this a little bit more. And then you can do a lot of paid marketing, of course, with Google or Facebook, social media. We're going to spend time today on this one, content marketing. But we don't want to forget that there's other things that we'll be catching up with in the next few weeks or the next few months as we do our Wednesday meetings for boosting your marketing, including reputation management, email marketing, how to do branding correctly, which a lot of people don't understand or do correctly. Direct mail, which can still work great, and we help with that, and we'll make sure you know how to do this correctly. And becoming an author. We have an upcoming author workshop that a lot of our clients write books. There's some of them up there behind me. And how to become an influencer in the industry. What did I miss here, Denise? Anything I need to add on there?
No, you've hit on all of it, Greg. I like what you have here. It's especially the content marketing. That's my area, obviously, and that's really important for these guys to grow their website.
Well, that's perfect, because that's our segue to exactly what we're going to hit today. We're going to hit content marketing, and this is where a lot of people fall short. And if you don't do this right, a lot of this other stuff just won't work. A lot of this other stuff will, you can spend all kinds of money and all kinds of effort and all kinds of focus and all kinds of brain damage on all these other things, and it just won't work as well if you don't do your content marketing right. So we're going to talk about what to do and how this kind of thing fits into the rest of your marketing in your business. So let's move on. So first, what is content marketing? So content marketing, oops, that's a G there. Content marketing relates a lot. One of the reasons I wrote a G, I think, there was because it relates a lot to Google. What Google wants is they want content to be three things. They want it to be relevant. So if you're running a hot dog stand, you should have content on your website about eating hot dogs or about food. You wouldn't want content on your website about, soccer or about cars, unless there was some relevance between, soccer games and hot dogs, or maybe there would be some relevance there. But you would want content on your website that's relevant to the keywords and the things that people are searching for, that your customers are searching for, that relate to you. Now, sometimes that's not always obvious. And what we have to help our clients do, and Denise, maybe you can talk about this a little bit, helping them with figuring out which keywords might be relevant, and it may not be the ones you think about. Was it any?
No, I honestly, it is the big thing, like you said, is making sure it's relevant. I like to have our clients understand that if you are going to, if you have a hot dog stand, but you're going to a car show, maybe you are having a booth there, right? So that's how you're going to make that content relevant to your business, is because you are now having a hot dog stand to help promote your business, even though you're posting about a car show, because that's where you're going to be at.
Yeah. So I post something, or I write something about being at the car show, and there'd have to be a lot of information about having your hot dogs there. It wouldn't just be about the car show. So there needs to be relevance about what your clients are searching for. And there's a little bit of complexity there that we have to help our clients with, because sometimes, for example, we work with a lot of martial arts schools, and maybe that martial arts school is if you're not a martial arts school, you may not understand the terms, but they might be a Taekwondo school. So they write a lot of content about Taekwondo. Well, Taekwondo isn't a very common search term. I do Taekwondo personally, but it's not a common search term that people are looking for, because it's just not as common in the general public. So we would want to use relevant terms, meaning karate and martial arts. Now, that being said, there are other terms that we still want to include, like Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu, karate, Kung Fu. Other terms might also still be important to put in our content, so that when people are searching for those more unusual words, we still show up in Google search terms. So one thing is relevance. We want to make sure that your content is relevant. The other thing that we want is lots of content. So we want lots of content. So relevance and volume. We want lots of content volume. So Google wants to know, or the website is going to be higher ranked, and it's going to show in more places if there's relevant content and there's lots of it. So we want lots and lots of content. We see very frequently people have a do-it-yourself website, and maybe they did it on Google, or they did it, I'm sorry, not Google, but on GoDaddy. GoDaddy or Wix or Squarespace or one of those kind of places. And they build a website and they leave it alone for a couple of years, and they'll even tell us, well, where do you get most of your business? Well, somebody looks us up on Google. Well, that's true, because it would be the only place they can find you. Of course, that's the place they find you, but you get a lot more people finding you on Google if you had a lot more content on your website, if you had a lot more stuff on your website, because there's a lot more places for Google to find you and a lot more places for your customers to find you. So we want more and more and more content. And the last thing that relates to that is it needs to be changing content, or it needs to be continuing to grow. So, or changing or growing. So you need to continue to add content to your website. You need to continue to post more stuff. You can't just, today I'm going to post a whole bunch of stuff on my website and then forget about it for the next couple of years. You need to continue to add more content to the website.
And if I can jump in here real quick,
Please.
Greg, one of the things we really want everyone to understand is that you don't want to post a whole lot at one time. That's not good. What you want to do, I like to tell everybody, you need to post 2 to 3 times a week, but that doesn't mean you have to sit down at your computer 2 to 3 times a week. Find one day, have all your, for this example, I'll say blogs, have all your writing, all your content done. Schedule an hour for yourself to sit down and plug it all in to the backside of your website, and then schedule. With our websites, you can schedule these posts to go out. So then you are posting 2 or 3 times a week, but you're only really sitting down 1 time a week, because we know everybody, you know, it's a business and you have to work your business. But this is, and I ran martial arts schools for 20 years. It's hard, but it's an integral part of the business. You want to make this happen.
Yeah, so how we're going to do this is really important as well. This is stuff that the changing and adding and putting lots of content, sometimes that can be daunting. And one of the reasons we did this as one of our first Boost Your Marketing pieces is because, to be frank with everybody, we have a lot of people that don't do this. We build a great website for them, and they have a lot of places that they can put content. We're going to talk about what kind of content to put up, what this means, what does content mean next. But then they don't do it. And so what Denise is talking about is we can help you with different ways you can do that to make it easier. In fact, let me post this again. I posted it on the chat once, in the chat on this, and we're going to, if you're watching the recording, in the email you get for the recording, or in the page that you're on when you're watching the recording, you can see a link so that you can click on the link and schedule a time with us for just 20 minutes, and we'll go through how to do all this. So we'll give you not only what Denise just talked about, some strategies for doing this so it doesn't cause you a lot of time, headache, or brain damage, take a lot of your time or cause you headaches or brain damage. But second, how to get the content together. So what kind of content? What is content? So there's 3 kinds of content. Number 1 would be text content. And text, and this can include photos and images, but that is what you've heard about, which is blogs. So blog content, so that's mostly text or an article, looks like a written article. And you've all probably seen blog content. Usually there's some picture and then a written article, looks like a news article. That's what people, you know, very commonly see when you click on a news article. If you're reading news online, most of the time this is a blog. Number 2 is photos. Now, photos can have what's called tags on them, or information connected to photos. So it's not just the actual photo, although Google does scan photos now, but information that's put in and attached to the photo about your business. And remember that it needs to be relevant. So it might have, if it's a chiropractor, it would have, you know, back pain attached to the photo if somebody's adjusting somebody and helping them with their back pain. It might have the name of the company attached to the photo. So they would have different tags on the photo that would be part of their website, and perhaps a gallery on the website. And then number 3, which we really love, is a podcast. And that, or let me write it in a little bit more clear way how this goes. The third way is video, which goes into a podcast. Now,
Greg, the
podcast
can also be audio.
Right.
There we go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You read my mind. So audio or video can be into a podcast. And the great thing about podcasts, there's multiple great things about podcasts. One is you can just grab your iPhone or your Android phone and record something of you talking, export it as a video or an audio file. And then what's great about this is this can get connected up to Apple Podcast, Google,
Spotify.
Spotify. And when Google indexes Spotify or Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts or Amazon Podcasts, and it sees it's connected to your website. Now, this is what we're talking about here, is that it's very important, and most other companies don't do this correctly. They post, or they have your podcast on some other podcast platform. They don't have it on your website. So we make sure your podcast is hosted on your website. If it's hosted on a podcast platform, there's a lot of them called Anchor or Blueberry or these other podcast platforms. Now, if you're Joe Rogan or a podcaster, doesn't matter. But that's not most of anybody on this call or on this webinar that we're doing today. You want it on your website so that when Google indexes Apple's podcast, it sees that the podcast is on your website, and it goes, oh, that website must be more important now. So it's seeing that your content is important on your website because you're having this content on these other prestigious platforms. So we like podcasts a lot. Podcasts are very important. But what we're going to talk about that in more detail at one of our other booster marketing seminars that we do for you. These are the three types of content, the basic three types. There's probably more content that we could talk about, but these will be the three basic types that we would recommend that you post on. Denise, add something on there, or anything to add?
No, you've pretty much touched on everything that I really promote with our clients. Get into more detail with it later on as far as what you can make into a blog and such, because a lot of folks are worried with blogs, like that you have to already be an author, right? That you have to be able to write, and that just isn't necessarily true, you know?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about blogs itself. So we're going to focus on blogs today. So remember, we're going to help you with getting at least a 50% increase in your results. And we're going to give you one key thing that you can do from today's webinar. And then next month, we're going to do another thing. So we'll cover some of these other topics at the next one. So today our focus is on blogging. And what we want to focus on blogging today is a few different pieces, and Denise is here because she's the expert at blogging. So one of the things, what would you start with first if you were going to talk to somebody about blogging, and what to watch out for?
So you need to pick your relevant topic, obviously. I'll use martial arts, for example, because between that and the military, those are pretty much the only two jobs I've had in my lifetime. If we're doing martial arts, you're busy, you're working during the day, you're going out to schools, and at nighttime you're teaching your classes or however the school is run. But if you're doing an event, if you're going to a school or you're doing a field day or something, and you want to get some of your students out there to work on their leadership skills, you can make that into a blog. Make that all about what the students are doing in martial arts, how martial arts helps you give life skills to those students, to a student. And then, but you're also promoting your business and getting that out there onto the web.
Yeah, so I think in terms of relevant topics, that's a really good example, because what people might tend to do, and so anybody that's not in that field could relate to this, what people might tend to do is there's an event happening, and what we see a lot of times is somebody will post an event saying, hey, I had this event and it was really cool and we were there for these many hours. Here's some photos of the event. What should really happen is this event happened and it was to develop leadership skills, and it had these outcomes for my people, and it was all the things that the clients would want to buy, that the outcomes that people would want. So it would be the relevant topics that somebody would search for. Now, those two things could look the same. So I could, if it was, let's say I was selling shoes, I could say, I went to, you could blog post about going to the shoe convention. I was at the shoe convention and there were lots of different models of shoes that came out. And I was really impressed that, XYZ shoe company developed the new models and there's some new shoe soles that are coming out. Or I could post about that the new shoes that came out are going to be great for people that are runners, and they're going to be able to have, I don't know, I don't know what the best relevant topics were, but maybe some of the relevant topics might be that they're going to be cheaper and better durability. And so what people might search for shoes might be price, or they might search for make me run faster. That might be something.
Supination, pronation, different
Yeah.
relative topics such as
Right.
that.
So these are going to be better for, and I might do 4 or 5 blog posts about that. One might be on what you just said about helping them with pronation in their foot. That's a really good example. I saw a whole set of shoes that were better for people that have these foot issues, and I'm going to write about the foot issues. And then I saw a whole set of shoes, and probably that content was, I could have picked it out of the people, or from the people at the shoe convention, and just, rewrote their content onto my blog. So it's a relevant topic, but people get confused because they are technicians of their business. They're the ones that run their business. So they're thinking about the nuts and bolts instead of what the construction looks like, instead of what their clients would look like. It's not really that much different than when we talk to people or we coach people in sales. Talk to people about what their benefits are, not what the features of your product are. This should be all about benefits. So relevant topic, this is going to be, think about it in terms of benefits. And when we do your call, when you schedule the time with us, again, that's on the chat, we can help you by doing some reporting and looking at your keywords and look at what your clients are actually searching for. So you may not even know what they're searching for, and what people that land on your website, they may be searching for stuff that you didn't even realize. And so you can focus your topics on this. Maybe it would be helpful as well, Denise, if we talked about what the components of a blog are, and then what they need to make sure they watch out for the different components, like the title and the featured image and those kind of things. Would that be important?
Yeah, absolutely. The title being one of the most important things. You need to make sure the title is not too terribly long, not only 1 or 2 words, and that it is absolutely relevant to what you are talking about within that article.
Yeah, so the title is going to be also needs to have the keyword. So the relevant topic, you could also say the keyword. So if it was about, let's use a different one that we haven't used before. If I was a lawyer and I was specializing in, what's a good lawyer thing? Divorce law. So if I was specializing in divorce law, then maybe the title would have something about divorce law, or something about, it could be something about recovering from my divorce, or something of that nature might be in the title. You wouldn't want to make the title very obscure. Like, I wouldn't want to say, are you having trouble with the process of your, getting, of ending your marriage, something like that. That might be a little too obscure, because that may not be what people are searching for. So the title needs to have the thing in it, and we have some tools that people can use to help them with that. The title needs to have the thing that people are typing into Google when they're Googling you. It'd be divorce lawyer. So, the top 10 things about divorce lawyers might be a good blog post for somebody who is a divorce lawyer. Maybe that's a terrible topic. Nobody wants to hear us talk about that one. That might not be the best one for people to use. And I don't know why I thought about that. That wasn't any personal reason. So my wife doesn't have to worry. So anyway, the jokes are just for me. But so the title should have, as you said, it should be relevant, have keywords. What are some of the other pieces of the blog?
You need a header. So you should have headings, heading 1s. You should have within the article.
So in the body, so if let me write this a little differently. In the body of the blog, so there's going to be in the body of the blog, you should have a header.
You should have at least 2 headers, yes.
So there's in the body of a blog, in almost all setups for blogs, and when we build a website for people, there's an editor, and there's going to be formats, automatically preset formats, and you want to use generally preset formats for blogs instead of being overly creative. If you're overly creative, then it's hard for Google to pick up what you're writing. So you don't want to try to outsmart yourself here with when you're doing blog posting. So headers, there's set header 1 and 2. There's header 1 and 2. So you want to use those because when Google picks out, and tell me if I'm saying this right, Denise, because you're more of an expert at this than me, that Google will read header 1 is more important and more important text, and header 2 is more important but not as important as header 1 text. So it'll know how to interpret your blog post. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when you're writing these, you're crafting it a little bit, and this isn't that hard. You just will help you with how to do this, but you're crafting it so that it guides Google on how to read it. You want to make it easy for Google to read. And then what about the text? How fancy do you have to write this text? Do you have to write it like college level or what?
No, not in the least. You want to write it. You want to write it so the general population can understand it. And sadly, my understanding of what the general population's reading level is now is a high school level. Not that that's sad, but
yeah, the last I heard is that Google wants it to be around 3rd grade.
Yeah.
That Google wants, and it may change now. Remember, when we tell you stuff that Google wants, Google hides their algorithms. They don't leave all this stuff public. They give very limited information about exactly what's going on. And the reason for that is because if they made all their algorithms 100% public, people would try to trick the algorithms and the computer system. So it's actually good for everybody that the thing that the search engines like Google or Yahoo or these companies do is they keep those algorithms proprietary, so that people building websites have to, the best word I can say is behave, so that we have to build stuff that is relevant. That's why we keep saying the word relevant, so that companies that are plumbers show up in plumbing results, and companies that are shoe stores show up in shoe store results, and dance studios show up in dance studio results, so that people don't swamp the internet with a bunch of fake results. So that's why you've kind of got to follow the rules. But 3rd grade reading is about what our estimate is the best text to write. So you don't have to try to write fancy text. You don't have to stress about making it 3rd grade either, I don't think. But you don't have to stress about making it college, professor, go to your professor and have them grade your every I and T and everything else either. Would that be a fair statement?
If I can also throw this in, you don't want to get fancy anyway, because Google catches on to this. Their algorithms will catch on to this, and then the score that you're trying to increase by making your website dynamic, by adding all of this, is then going to get dinged. It's not going to be dinged in a positive way. So you don't want to try and get so fancy that you're going to try and trick Google, if you will. You need to just be very direct and write what your article is about. Nothing more, nothing less.
That's a great point. What other things should go in the body of your article? What about links?
So thank you for bringing that up. I was going to mention links. You can put links in your article, absolutely. One of the things I really like to make sure everybody knows is the whole idea of a blog is to keep people on your website. You want to have people staying on your site. So if you need to put someone else's link on there, you went to the shoe convention, right? And you saw that Adidas had this phenomenal new lifting shoe, right? And you want to put that link in there, that's fine. But put it at the bottom of your article, because if you put it in the middle of your article, that person may click on that. And if they click on that, where do they go? Off of your website. And that is not what we want. We want people to stay on your website. Let them read the article, let them stay in there. And then at the bottom, at the end, when they're done, then let them link to another site.
Yeah, because likely they won't read all the way to the bottom, or if they do read all the way to the bottom, they're really interested in what you have to say. They're more likely to take advantage of the offer that we have on the page. And when we build a
Right.
website, we're gonna typically have an offer already on the page so that they can, take advantage of whatever download that you might have, or maybe maybe it's going to be a free offer for some lessons, or free offers for some product, or free offers for something. So we want them to take advantage of the offer on the website. We don't want them bouncing off the website to somewhere else. That being said, and it's not our topic for today, if you have a link from your website to an external site, and then that external site has a link back to your website, that's very good for your ranking. So we do want to encourage lots of linking back and forth. So we do want you to have links, but as Denise said, we would want to place those lower to encourage people to finish reading the article, or finish looking through your website and not bouncing off your site. A good example that might be if you were doing some sort of sports activity. If we're about sports, it could be martial arts, as Denise said. Maybe a local newspaper has an article about you and it links to your blog posting, then you could post to it. Or they could probably take the blog posting, and we'll talk about how they could use it in other places, right? Like Facebook and other places. Yeah. We'll come to that in a second. But okay, so links on the, we'll come to how to use your blog posting in other ways in a second. Links at the bottom. What about putting their company information in the blog, in the body of the article? Should they put their company information at the bottom of the article?
At the bottom or at the top, especially if you're writing about what you offer at your location. I always like to tell folks, put that at the top. Say, hey, this is, oh my goodness, Adidas shoe shop in Sun City, Florida, at 231 Riverdale Drive, with the address. Put that at the top so people see, oh, yeah, I like this article. And like you said, Greg, a lot of folks, we just don't have the attention span anymore, I guess, but they get down to a certain level and they're like, I really like what these guys are saying. And then they go back up, right? It's right there. Your information's right there. So for your information, I like to put it up towards the top.
Okay. Okay. Anything else to add in the body that they need to watch out for?
I always make sure you run grammar check on it, guys. Grammar check, please.
Yeah, now you do have to be careful about writing it in Word and then copying it into your blog post. Yeah. So, and we'll
take the formatting out, clear formatting, and it should be a little bit better, because at least with our sites, Greg, we have the, they have the ability to add the headers and make everything within the actual box where they put it. Yeah.
Now, for you guys individually, for those of you that are working with us on your websites, or for individual training, when you set up your time with us, we can also set up an individual training with you to help you with it. So we're giving you some general ideas. These are marketing ideas. This is not a how-to on how to do your blog. We're just giving you some key points. Okay. What about they should do tagging?
Yeah, 3 to 5 tags. You don't really want to do more than 5 tag words, or Google will assume you're trying to keyword spam them.
Okay. And then featured elements or featured image, right? They need to have
a featured correct image. And here with a featured image, it should be 500 by 500 pixel. Ultimately, you want 500 by 500 pixel. And you also do not want to use the same image as your featured image that you may have used within your blog. You should use something else.
Yeah, so the featured image is going to be when you see whenever anybody has a blog on their website or a resource page, however it's listed for blogs, and you have a listing of blog postings, and there's a bunch of different blog postings and maybe pages of blog postings, the featured image is what gets shown as the photo that goes along with the blog. So that's the featured image. So you need to have a featured image so there's something cool showing along with your blog posting. That's what that featured image is. It's the summary it goes along with that summary of your blog post. So the blog posting is the whole article. The blog page is the summary of all the different articles. So kind of keep that in mind what that is. And now another couple of things you could do, you can have a scheduled post. That might be a component, I would call it. And you hinted at this before, is you can have a time, if your blog post is done correctly, like with our websites, you can schedule when your blog post goes out. You can publish it immediately, or you can schedule it. That's how you could sit down at your computer and schedule like 6 blog posts at once, and they could go out once, a couple times a week, depending on how you're
absolutely
scheduled. Anything we missed on components of blogging?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. So now what we could talk about now, let's talk about 2 things. One is, where would you get your content from? Where would the content come from in the, let me do one thing here before we move on. Where would you get the content from? So where do you recommend they get the content from? Just writing it out of their head, or where would you recommend they kind of get their content?
Many different places. I know we also offer the ability to get blogs for our clients. And a lot of folks take advantage of that simply because it can be time consuming. You do want to have some of your blog posts to be between 500 and 600 words. And I believe the last thing I read, ultimately it's a 1,200 word article that's going to score you really well. But
I think the minimum is 300 for it to be considered even a page. So if you don't go over 300, you're in trouble. So the bare minimum would be 300, but you really need to do 500 to 600 words, and 1,200 is ideal, right?
Yeah.
That's, I think, the target word count.
Yeah. Excuse me.
So that's an important thing. And one thing you mentioned, I was going to talk about this a little later in more detail, but this is something we do for our clients too. So we can talk about that when you meet with us. Again, look at the chat or on the page here, or on the email that we sent you, and click on the link, and we can talk about, depending on how frequently you want to blog, or whether you want us to do all the posting and everything for you, we can do the blog postings for you and come up with the relevant content and have it professionally written. If you don't want to do this for yourself. If you are doing it for yourself, though, where would be some good places for them to either get the content or get ideas for the content?
Well, once again, if you're doing it yourself, you usually, most places I know do events. We're coming up on Labor Day, and folks having events at the parks and such. So that can be an article right there in and of itself, and then I'll go back to what I know very well is martial arts. If you have students who are coming up on rank testing, post that. Anything you're doing within your business can become an article.
Well, I was thinking about some of our chiropractic clients. They should write about some of the medical procedures that they're doing, some of the new things that are coming up in medicine. So there's all kinds of topics. And if I was writing about some of those topics, some of the material's written for me already. So I'm writing on maybe a new, if I was a MD and I'm doing a new procedure in my office, that would be a topic to write about. Obviously, that'd be something that people want because it's a new procedure that I'm doing. So there must be some reason there's a relevant keyword somewhere in there, and I'd write about that. But that would have to have some other content that I can just take from the material that I use to learn that procedure on, and then just rewrite it, paraphrase it. So you rewrite and paraphrase it, and 500 to 600 words isn't that hard to rewrite and paraphrase. What you can't do, what's important about this is you can't copy. You can't just verbatim copy content, because Google will downgrade your content and they will give you you can get a bad rating for copying content. You can't go on somebody else's website for sure, copy and paste it into your content. It has to be at least paraphrased and rewritten. So rewrite it at least, so you can get ideas from other content that's out there. Another way that we really like to do this is we do book publishing. So if you're an author Now, being an author doesn't necessarily mean you wrote it all yourself. We can have it ghostwritten for you. So we're doing an author workshop next week from the time of the recording of this webinar. And I teach this a 4-hour workshop. It's great. You took it, in fact.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great workshop. Then you write a book. This can be used for lots of other marketing purposes. But one of the things you do is you can take a page or two from your book, each blog posting. And that can be a 500-word article. And then, next blog posting is part 2 of that. Next blog posting is part 3 of that. And that's, if it's an 80-page book, that's going to be 40 blog postings. You get your year covered by that for sure. And so that's a really good way to get some content. So events, topics that are relevant to your business. And again, usually those topics come with some written material goes along with it. Other types of any other things that you were going to mention before I list a couple more?
No.
Okay, so do other searches for your keywords. So do other searches for the keywords that your clients that we've helped you with, that your clients are searching for. So if you're running, let's say you're a lawyer that's not doing divorce. Let's say you're a lawyer that's doing, maybe, corporate litigation. You're helping people set up corporations. That might be something where you just do a search on those kind of things and look at what other people are doing. That's important for you to know what the other people in your industry are doing, and then look and see what they're writing about. And then I can give you some ideas of what you could write about. And again, if you follow the rules that we're talking about, you'll probably do a better article and you'll probably do better content than they do.
And Greg, I'll throw this in, and it is very important. Keywords are different depending on what area you're in. Like, I know where I'm at, my keywords, if we were both lawyers, my keywords are definitely going to be different because I'm in a military area than what your keywords would be out where you are. So keywords are going to be different based on your region.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we get a lot of our clients asking us, well, so what's the best keyword or what's the best offer? And we got to say, well, it depends. It depends. We got to do the research for you to do that. So that takes us some time and some effort to do the research to find those for you. And again, when you connect with us and we do your work with you one-on-one, then we can help you with that directly. So make sure you click on the link in the content that we've sent you or on the page here, depending on how you're viewing this, so that you can get us to work with you one-on-one to narrow it down for you specifically. Okay, so here's some target word count ideas for content. Now let's take a little bit of time and talk about where else you'd use your blog. So you've got on your blog, you've posted it, you've got it out there. How else could you use your blog? What are some ways you would tell our clients to use their
social media, 100%.
Okay.
Social media.
So give me some examples.
So you want to, and you would use your permalink, and a permalink is just the link to your blog. Use your permalink, for example, on Facebook, copy paste that, but you still want to write a little introduction before that link pops up on your Facebook page. And then what's really important about that is they click that link and they go back to your website. And once again, you're going to have people going back to your website, staying on your website, which is so very important.
Yeah, that's a good example. Now let's just do a live example of this. If I did, we'll just do it from this website here. So if we were on this website, this is a website that we built. We're updating this one now, actually. So
yeah, we're updating this one now. Yeah.
This is a company that I own. And if we go to the resources page, and so here's a bunch of blog posts. This one's on bullying prevention. So you can see this is me. I did a bullying prevention blog post, and there's a featured image, and this is the blog page. And if I click on this, it's going to take me to the actual blog post. And this is a transcript. This one's a little bit unusual because it's a transcript of a 30-minute blog post. So that's how the content was developed. I did a podcast and then I had it transcribed into this is about a 2,000 word blog post. So I didn't actually do any work. I just did the podcast and then had it transcribed. And what we'll do is we'll go on Facebook and I'll show you an example of how to do this. And Denise will tell me if I'm doing this wrong because she hasn't shown me how to do this. This, when we say permalink, it's not no magic about that. It's not a hard technical word. I'm here on the blog post and I click up here and it's just the regular, website address for the blog post. That's all it is. And a blog post is nothing different than a web page. It's just a web page. It's nothing special. It's just a web page. So you click on the web page address, and it's long because this is named after the transcript. You can name your blog post a little differently. We can talk about that when we work with you one-on-one. But this is podcast transcript number 5. And if I wanted to go to my Facebook page, here's my Facebook page, that's me. And I wanted to click in here and I would write a summary of it. So I'll just write a quick summary, but I won't post this today because I actually posted this one already. And I said, this is my podcast for bullying prevention, number 5. So that's a terrible sample one. I would give it a paragraph or 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, then I would put the link in there. Now watch what happens magically on Facebook, which is cool. Facebook will turn it into a nice, because of our websites, Facebook will turn it into a really nice graphic representation. And if I hit post, it's going to show up here like this. So what's really cool to make it even easier for you. Now, if I hit post, it's going to post this one. Again, I've already posted this one. Now, what would make it easier for you is usually up here, I have a little summary. All I do, and Denise, you tell me if you like this, I would just copy this summary and that would be the paragraph summary. So whatever's in your blog post, your first couple paragraphs can be your summary. And then you don't even have to write any extra information. Would that be an easy way to do it?
Yeah, I think you're renting space in my head, Greg, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. So you don't even have to do any extra work. If that's clear to everybody, you just copy. In this case, I'd copy this stuff here, and then I'd use that as my sample paragraph. In this particular case, it wasn't a lot of information. We could use a different example, but I literally randomly picked that. So this is, that's a really simple way to do that. So back to what we were talking about. One way is social media, and that was just Facebook. But Facebook is one, Instagram is another. Really easy, but your summary information has to be smaller because they only have so much space on Instagram. Right. But again, that's very short. Just put a few words in there for your Instagram one. You can post it on LinkedIn. You can post it on Reddit.
And ultimately, well, that'd be more of a podcast. Never mind. I was going to say YouTube comes to mind as well, but that's going to be more of your podcast.
Yeah, when we come to do podcasts, then we'll talk to you about how to get those linked up and posted. That's amazing. You can do so much stuff. Yeah. That was another way. I guess I skipped past that. I talked about how to create some content. When you do get to a podcast, and when we do cover podcasts, that's a great way to create blog content. I do that. I do my podcast. It turns into blog content. You can get it transcribed for almost nothing, for very little. You can get your podcast transcribed, and that becomes a great blog post. So this is a great way to do that as well. But social media, what's another way to use your blog? I wanted to mention one other way before we get off of Facebook. Facebook can be your Facebook page, but it also can be other groups in town. So for my other business that I work with, the one I just showed you, there's other Facebook groups that are relevant to that business that you can post on, the relevant blog posts. So let's say you are let's say we'll use I'm trying to think of another example. Now we used a whole bunch of examples today. Let's say you're back to the hot dog stand. So I'll use the hot dog stand example. So let's say I did a blog post on a hot dog stand about the best hot dogs, and here's my new hot dogs that we just came out with. I might post in the Facebook group for the city that I'm in. So that business there was Cave Creek, Arizona. So I might post for Cave Creek, Arizona group, the next cool hot dog thing that I'm doing. And it might just be about the hot dogs, because some Facebook groups don't allow you to do promotional posts that are selling a product. So I'm not going to sell a product. I'm just going to do the blog post. And it would have a link back to my blog post. That link would be back to the blog post. Now, once they hit the link and they go back to the blog post, you can sell whatever you want. You're back to your website. But the group would allow you to blog post about that great information. Some groups will allow you to post your business information. Some groups have no problem with that.
Right.
And the great thing about this is you could find 5 or 10 groups. And the way we'll do this sometimes, we'll five or 10 or 15 groups. Once you do this, it's just basically a copy and paste into each of these groups, and you save these links, bookmark them. It doesn't take more than 5 minutes or so to go through and post. So if once a week you did this, once a week you clicked and pasted this, it won't take very long to do these kind of posts to these groups.
Exactly.
Did you have any?
I know we do press releases too.
Mm-hmm. That's one that probably our company would do for you.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, other people may do their own press releases. I know we do it for our clients, and that is another place that we can put stuff.
Yeah, that's something that we can do for you that you can probably maybe figure out how to do this. I tried to do this on my own. It was pretty hard.
It is pretty, yes.
And this can go out to 300 or more sites on the internet. It's really exciting. These are fantastic. That's why it's a little bit more of a technical job to do the press releases and get them written the right way. If they're not written the right way and released the right way, they won't get as much coverage. So this is really good. Yeah, but that's a really good point. Press releases are really good. If you can figure out how to do that, great. But they're not very expensive for our clients once we get it connected up for us to do those. Anything else we missed on this? How to use your blog post?
On how to use your blog post. No, I was going to say with Facebook, there's also a couple different components that you can use to schedule your posts too, but that's probably something we'll go over later.
Okay. Yeah. So for scheduling your posts on Facebook, that makes it a little bit easier. So you could do everything in 1 week. Or one session. You can do one session, do your blog post, and then do all the postings and schedule them with Facebook. So if you didn't know that, that's easy to do as well. I was going to mention with your blog posts, you can also push them out on email. So you can email. We tell our clients that we're doing coaching with to have a good prospect email campaign. So your list of prospects should get emails on a regular basis. So at least a couple times a week, if not more. And your blog posts, if you're doing those twice a week, then these blog posts can go into your email and they can get your 2 times a week or more. But you could do more email than this, it would be fine. But if you're blog posting a couple times a week, then this blog post would be great to go into your email campaign, especially the way we're telling you to write them. They'd be exactly what your prospects should get. So this would be another piece that you could use that would be fantastic. And then some of that content could get pushed into text messages. So just a little text message that says, hey, I just sent you an email on, and then what the topic is, very short, that would be to your prospect list. And prospect list, not to go into too much detail on this type of marketing, which we'll cover at a different point, wouldn't be like a direct mail list that doesn't know you. This would be the list of people that have responded to you in some way that you've connected with over the last couple years. Okay, so email will be another way. And that's a pretty good start. You could use it all kinds of other ways, all kinds of other connections. The other way you might want to do this, you would want to do this for sure, would be other websites. So linking. So we mentioned social media, but there's other websites. For example, the one I mentioned earlier would be, let's say you worked with kids. There's mom and kid groups that you can post your classes or your services on the mom and kid group sites, and then link back to your blog post something very specific for them. Or let's say you were doing something for a school. You could you could link from the school. Maybe you put an advertisement about your services on the school website. Then you could link to a blog post that would be very specific for the school services. So there's another way you could use your blog post for that. And it would be something that would be very specific for them. So linking to other websites. And what this does is create, if there's two websites, I'll do two W's, a reciprocal link. So these, I've got this arrow in both directions if my drawing's okay. So that they're linking to you and you're linking to them. And if it's, for example, the big newspaper in your city, and they have, they don't really sell print newspapers anymore, but they have a big, huge website that everybody reads their news off of, and you're listing your services somewhere on their website, which I almost guarantee you there's some listings that are free on almost every big newspaper site. And you could list in multiple different ways. And you can link to your website in both directions. So that's called a reciprocal link. So that gives you double benefits. One is you get found on these other websites, and the second is it'll help your ranking as well. Okay, so these are 4 big ways: social media, press releases, use it for email. So you use the content in your email and link to your blog post that represents the content, and then linking to other sites. All right, so wrapping up, we just got a couple minutes here. I know, Denise, your internet is kind of whacking out here. So you send me a message on that. So if you can't add anything, that's fine. Did I miss anything there?
No.
Okay. I guess, I don't know if I need to write anything here, but we can do all this for you. We can do the blog packages. If you just don't want to deal with it, we can do any level of it for you. We can write them. We can post them. And we can do all the social media and the press releases and all the other stuff. So we can really do all these at any level you want us to help you with. The first thing I do either way, though, whether if you're going to do it yourself or you'd like us to help you with it, is schedule a time with us, either on the link here today in the chat, or in the posting on the page, or on the link on the page, or in the email that we sent you this video on. So schedule a time with us so that we can help you at whatever level, either just help you get a good start on it yourself so you can do it, or if you'd like us to do some of it for you, that's fine too. And we can, take some of that off your plate. We can do really anything from A to Z so that you don't have to worry about it. And if we want to get you, we really want to get you a good start, because we want you to have excellent performance of all your website and all your marketing. We want everything to work together, and we want it to all work fantastically. Let's see. So don't forget 2 things: September 31st, 3 p.m. That's our
21st, Greg. 21st.
Yeah, not 31st. There is no September 31st, is there? September 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be the next steps to growing your business. Make sure you're there. Just put it on the calendar. The 3rd Wednesday of the month at 3 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to have a Boost Your Business, Boost Your Online Marketing webinar, 3 p.m. the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So make sure you're there for all of those. And that way we'll get you moving up. Our goal again is for 2 times, 3 times, 10 times the results for everything. Okay. Thanks a lot, Denise, for being here. I really appreciate it. And
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
yeah, thanks. And everybody have a great day.
Bye.